My name is Janae Strachey, and this is On Air with Heritage Action, a podcast built for conservatives. Twice a week, we break down in 5-ish minutes or less how you can get involved today in the fight for conservative values.
Hello, I'm Thad, and I'm filling in for Janae. Today, we want to talk about something that is actively going on all around the country that will have a significant impact on the way corporations and companies do business and how it will affect you, the consumer. ESG, which stands for Environmental, Social, and Corporate Governance, is the progressive left's new way to coerce companies into adopting woke policies. It's a growing issue, and you should expect to hear more about it in public debate. Now, for background, ESG was invented a couple of decades ago as a set of criteria that some investors could use to analyze prospective investment opportunities. Here's the problem. The components of ESG are totally subjective and are easily manipulated to advance leftist ideology. Here's a breakdown of environmental, social, and corporate governance categories. Under the environmental category, companies that do not embrace green energy as a corporate strategy will get their environmental score reduced. That means American oil and gas companies will be punished for not pursuing Green New Deal policies. Under the social category, corporations are subject to greater scrutiny that is sure to get them canceled by the woke mob. Questions like, does a company have enough diversity, equity, and inclusion training? Does a company support abortion? Does a company provide free sex reassignment surgery? These are the types of woke questions that will determine a company's score under the social component of ESG. Social credit scores will soon be all the rage. The governance category looks at the administrative and operational components of a corporation. How diverse is a company's board of directors? Do executives get paid too much? Is there an equitable distribution of women and minorities in leadership positions? Answers to these questions are what the left will be scrutinizing. And if the answers aren't satisfactory, the governance score for a company will fail. It's not enough for corporations to submit financial reports. Since 2008, we've started to see some corporations submit business and sustainability reports that include what their carbon footprint is, how they are supporting women in the workplace, their stance on human rights, and other political topics. Just last June at the G20 summit, Biden's own Treasury Secretary, Janet Yellen, gave a speech promoting more ESG initiatives in the private sector. She said, "While we have been discussing ESG principles and indicators for infrastructure in the G20, the private sector has launched ESG infrastructure initiatives. I commend these efforts, and I would urge greater collaboration between governments and private sector initiatives as we further identify and refine the metrics most useful for promoting infrastructure investment." In China, we've seen how the Communist Party uses social scores to control people. If you do things that the party likes, they allow you to travel to see your family in another city. If you do things they don't, you lose access to your bank account and are cut off from society. ESG is just the beginning of that social credit system for companies here in America. It's a way for the elites to further control, to reward and punish institutions they don't believe in. Eventually, if companies don't tick the right boxes, they may find their access to capital and financial markets cut off. They won't be allowed to list on the New York Stock Exchange. Their corporate bonds will be issued at lower rates not because of their creditworthiness, but because of a low ESG score. Now, thankfully, we are seeing lawmakers all across the country take stocks of these types of woke policies and are putting a stop to it. Since January, over a dozen states, including Arizona, Idaho, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, New Hampshire, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Utah, and West Virginia, have all introduced or passed bills to address the protection of companies and investors from ESG requirements. At the federal level, Earlier this month, Congressman David Joyce of Ohio introduced a resolution to counter the Biden administration's recently proposed climate disclosures ruling. Biden's proposed rule to the Securities and Exchange Commission would expand the range of information that is required of companies to disclose. At the state level, Oklahoma is fighting back against ESG with HB 2034, the Energy Discrimination Act of 2022. HB 2034 would ensure Oklahoma is not supporting corporations that put political ideology ahead of the interest of taxpayers, shareholders, and residents. HB 2034 will divest state investments and prohibit state contracts with companies that boycott the oil and gas industry. And this is huge because in Oklahoma, 6% of jobs are tied to traditional energy, which is 3 times the national average of 2%. Companies that willingly support ESG rules want to hurt an important industry that is bringing jobs to this state. In general, ESG is irresponsible and bad for financial markets and economic stability. This week, the Utah State Treasurer united Utah leaders against ESG policies supported by S&P Global Ratings, one of America's major credit rating systems. In the letter to S&P, Utah leaders reminded everyone what happened the last time S&P and other credit rating agencies put business relationships and societal pressures over actual creditworthiness. We found ourselves in the midst of a 2008 financial crisis. Now, I don't know about you, but Americans should not be forced to fund woke, multinational corporations that are attacking our very way of life. ESG is simply another way for progressives to bully businesses and institutions to adhere to leftist ideology. These companies that adopt ESG policies risk failing their employees, investors, and customers. And ESG will hurt all of America by moving our society into dangerous dependence on foreign oil, creating social credit scores, and demanding investment decisions based on pro-abortion or gender ideology-like policies. We've supported several measures at the state level to combat ESG. This is a battle that is just starting. To get involved, I encourage you to join our Sentinel program if you're not already. Just head over to heritageaction.com/sentinel for more info, and we'll make sure to drop the link in the description. Thanks for listening.
That's it for another episode of On Air with Heritage Action. Thank you for tuning in. If you like what you heard in today's episode, please click the follow button. If you want to receive a text message each time a new episode airs, text podcast to 51776 and you'll never miss an episode. That's podcast to 51776. Hi, it's me again, and we need your help. If you like the insights and activist resources we are providing, please take 1 minute and help us spread the word. Share this episode with friends and family on social media, email, or text. We need everyone's help in the fight to hold Washington accountable. And don't forget, you are also able to subscribe and listen to episodes on your smartphone. Just open up your favorite podcast app and search for On Air with Heritage Action. Click subscribe and download episodes so you can take them with you on the go. It's the best way to make sure you never miss a thing. Thanks.